Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. We're coming to you live from Abeokuta venue of the Ogun Investors Forum. We're joined now by Ronke Shokefun, who is the Commissioner for Agriculture. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Well, the state has a lot of targets. They've done the first, the second. This is the third. And agriculture features prominently again in this one. What is your ministry's strategy in this Investors Forum?
Purely from an investment standpoint, to attract more investment into the state in the agricultural sector. It's clear there's underinvestment in this sector, and that's why you see there's so many events these days centered around agriculture. The Honorable Minister for Agriculture, for instance, is supposed to be here today. He's in Katsina, but he's joining us tomorrow. First and foremost, there's an urgent need for us to produce enough food for ourselves. There's no doubt about that. Next to that is the need for us to start earning foreign exchange, again, from what we produce here. So it's, and the different investment opportunities across the entire spectrum, the entire value chain for people to tap into. Are we drumming up enough support in this regard? Maybe not. Maybe that's why for the third time in a row, agriculture has become a recurrent decimal.
What kind of challenge do you face? Because I think I've read up where Malaysia partnering with Ogun State. Tell us about that.
It was a partnership agreement we entered into in 2014. Essentially, what it was the governor actually went to make a pitch for the housing sector. And by some strange coincidence, agriculture then, in fact, I had to go and join him on the trip. He was already out of the country because we sort of were able to see for ourselves the sort of things they've been able to do. These were people that came to Nigeria early 70s, took our oil palm seedling, took it over there, developed it. You do not find barren land in the whole of Kuala Lumpur. I have been. As you're descending, once you're flying into Kuala Lumpur airport, your fear is, am I going to land onto a plantation? Because you actually don't see the runway until you're almost down there. There is no barren land. Every single place they plant oil palm. Why can't we do this? And that's what the economy is predominantly dependent on. So why can't we just identify those key crops that we're good in? And Ogun State has it all. We do coffee, we do cotton, we do oil palm, we do cocoa. Yet those potentials are still largely undeveloped.
That matter of having the seeds, having the crops, and the processing, that's the other part. But the question I want to ask you, what are the incentives that you have in place to ensure that those coming to invest in agriculture have it, how would I say, easy, sort of?
Of course, the greatest thing that you need for agriculture is land. We have them in abundance. Of our entire land mass, about 79% is arable, and that's over 1 million hectares. Of that number, only about 29% is today being cultivated. Do the math.
But how do you balance cultivation as against accommodation? Because there are those who will be looking to build, yes, and then you're wanting to farm, to plant. The
farms are predominantly in the rural areas. I'm sure, again, the norm of urbanization is evolving. So what you do is, there's a regional master plan, which we will speak to as the very first session this morning. It gives people a fair idea. What areas are you looking to for housing infrastructure, for instance? And therefore, that gives you a sort of, you become more knowledgeable when it comes to locations for your farms. And during my presentation, I'm going to speak to the specific local governments that support the sort of crop that you probably want to cultivate. I'm going to speak to that. And we'll also have a soil map that will also show during that presentation to enable people know what area supports what crop.
The issue of trust, yes, comes in here, because yes, some will say, there are those who said, someone actually sent a message, said he and a group of others, he paid for land around OPIC in the 80s, but it turned out to be a rip-off. So that issue of trust comes in. Now, trust to get land to farm, trust that when the products come forth, there will be a market, and trust that these products, some of them can be processed. Are all of this factored into the plans for investment in agriculture?
I believe we've demonstrated our intentions as an open-minded, open-hearted government over the past 5 years. I'm lucky because I was with the governor during his first term, and I'm back here. We run a very transparent process. You don't come to the ministry and you have to tell tales or something. The process is there. Write to the commissioner your intention for land, fill the form, submit the requisite documents. Once we schedule an interview, it's a matter of course. And of course, again, once we're done, we submit our recommendations to the governor. So it's not something that's done in secret. I still have to sit with the governor to justify, for instance, why I am recommending that we give a particular applicant 50 hectares, for instance. 50 hectares is a lot of land anywhere. You understand? So, but you have people coming into the state asking you for 30,000 hectares, 10,000 hectares. To the issues you've spoken to, especially with respect to maybe the OPIC scheme back in the 80s, again, you realize that back then a lot of things were done manually, not with the aid of technology. These days, you buy land, you don't not only get paper documentation, it's all there. It's blotted out, in the scheme online. I'm not saying it's 100% foolproof, but I'm saying about 90%. We've gone far beyond where we used to be.
Let's talk about the finished products. A lot of wastage when it comes to agriculture. The small-time farmer and every other person, when they want to transport their goods from one place to the other, especially perishable goods. We see a lot of vegetables come out of Ogun State. Is the government thinking of helping these people preserve their goods and moving them from one place to the other, perhaps from the farm to the markets?
What we're calling for, again, as part of a call for investment, is for people who can invest in that particular sector, transport those goods. But the linkage has to be there. I don't want to just spend money buying vans that can move goods if I'm not sure what's in it for me. How do I recoup my investment? So there must be, and that's government's role. We're predominantly facilitators. I give the example, you were aware when Mile 12 relocated across the road from your offices, and naturally the state government had to take charge. The day we went to move them, of course I was on ground from about 7:30 in the morning. When I got to the market in the morning, a basket of tomatoes was about 4,500 naira. When it became clear to them that they couldn't stay that night, and some of them didn't want to go to Ogiri that same night with those same goods because it was like a double transportation cost. By 5 p.m., that same basket was going for about 1,700 naira. You understand? So if there was something nearby where maybe somebody could freeze those tomatoes, do you understand? It would go at the same cost. And it was exactly the same thing that happened when I went to Ogiri. And that was what I saw.
I'm just wondering, in terms of the facilitation that your ministry plays, I know that at the federal level, the minister is seeking I think a 5% interest rate loan. What sort of role does your ministry play financing or helping farmers access credits at minimal interest rate?
The lowest interest rate there is 9%, and that's the CBN facilitated loan, which is again routed through commercial banks. So we are all, as a body, seeing how we can improve on that.
All right, then thank you for coming in. Ronke Shokefun is the Commissioner for Agriculture in Ogun State here at the Investors Forum. We'll be back and focus a lot more on this forum. Join us again.